It was in great danger. The fire was impinging upon the crane. This thing was 200 foot up in the air. I never seen a situation like that. I was wondering how we was going to get the guy down.
Local television news crews were onto the story quickly.
Updating you now on a raging fire in southeast Atlanta.
70 miles away, Ivers Sims' wife is about to get the shock of her life.
I was sitting in this rocking chair watching TV.
It is at the old Fulton Bag and Cotton Mill on Boulevard.
And I said, my goodness, that looked like, you know, up there where Ivers were.
And we have a report that we do have a worker trapped in that crane above the fire.
Well, I know that's him, you know, because he's the only crane operator.
The worker is all the way to the left side of the crane trying to get away from the intense heat.
I said, that's the khaki pants he always wear, you know.
He's stuck right above this raging inferno.
From that point on, I just freaked out.
The bottom of the crane, there's no hope for him to get out at this point, is down in the fire. And I'm sure they're getting the fire equipment around there to try to possibly cool the bottom portion of this tower.
It was suggested that we cool it down with water, and any engineer could tell you if you put water on hot steel, it's gonna start buckling. So it was a real unique situation.
There's little the fire service can do, and the situation's getting worse.
The roof just collapsed in on this fire. Unbelievable.
It's flaring up right here now. I can feel the heat from here, and I'm 5 times farther away from the heat than he is.
Ivers climbs onto the counterweight. It's made of concrete and is the only place left that isn't too hot to stand on. There's no rescue helicopter for miles, and the press officer for the Atlanta Fire Service makes a desperate appeal for help on the local news channel.
Connie, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. You can broadcast this publicly. If any helicopter or aircraft facility here can come in and help us get this guy off, we can save him before it's too late. That we
Matt Wallace, do you copy? They'd like to use your chopper.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Pam. We'll have to, we're still trying to discuss that up here.
We were concerned with the crane in terms of the amount of heat that it could withstand, and the fact, would we get to this man before the crane would topple?
The crane is beginning to burn. I do see fire that is very visible. It's in the middle of the crane.
The intense heat is so hot, it is burning the interior portion of the gondola. This guy has to be very worried at this point.
I just kept saying, oh God, please don't let anything happen.
Connie, we want to tell you that we are going to send our backup chopper down to the scene.
If you can get someone to land here at the parking lot, we'll walk you through the rest of it.
The flames are so intense right now, and I want to widen out and pan to the right. This is unbelievable. Flames are starting to emit from homes 2 blocks away from this.
It was bad watching it on TV. I was just saying to myself, I wish I could just close my eyes and snap my fingers and I'd be there. I was just like praying, God, please don't let anything happen to him. What would I do tomorrow? What would we do without him, you know? How would I go on?
2 helicopters arrive, one from the television station, the other from the Georgia State Department of Natural Resources. The state helicopter is better equipped, and the crew have done rescues before. But strong winds are causing the crane to sway dangerously, making hovering difficult. The fire is also causing serious problems.
When you heat up the air, it creates updraft, downdraft, side drafts, all kind of stuff. And this guy had to be really up on his flying to pull this maneuver off.
Where Mr. Sims was sitting was on the end of the crane, and it was a little ways up from the fire, and then the heavy winds was blowing the fire away from him, so we just determined that we would at least try.
The helicopter needs to keep away from the heat. They've no winching equipment, and the crew have to improvise to make an 80-foot rope. On the end of it is firefighter Matt Mosley.
I was more nervous on the ground. Once the helicopter tensioned the rope up, it kind of changed gears from being nervous as, okay, now you've got a job to do. There's no time to be nervous. I could feel the heat. It was enough to start stinging my face, so I tucked my face back behind my protective collar. I was afraid that as I swung towards him, he might try to grab me, and that would pull him right off the crane.
Matt, you can see his silhouette.
We're gonna have contact.
He's trying to reach him.
There he comes. They're reaching for each other. Ah, too high. Just inches too high. You can see he's landed on the crane.
Oh, that's good news.
The rescue worker is standing on the crane, still tethered to the helicopter by a long rope.
It's critical that the helicopter hovers without putting tension on the rope. Any sudden movement and Ivers would crash down into the fire below. He's been stranded for nearly 2 hours.
On the end of that rope, I knew that was the only way that I was going to be able to get down. I was pleased to see him coming. Because it gave me real good confidence then that I was going to safety. We took time to introduce ourselves and all that before we started putting the hunters on.
Yeah, I tried to lighten the situation with a little humor. I told him that his boss had sent me up there and that it was okay for him to go ahead and knock off early. He didn't find that very humorous.
But I was already on overtime by then.
Yeah, Pam, as you can see, the firefighter is now strapping him into the harness with him and getting him into position to give him that bear hug and telling him. And now he's giving him the go up signal, go up signal. So they're about to lift both of the firefighter, then they go off the crane.
Oh, he's ready.
The copter just eased us up, just like, you know, like I do when I'm getting a loader off the ground with my crane. A smooth operator. That's what he was, just a smooth operator.
It was a relief to see someone up there getting him down. But I said, well, I'm not going anywhere until I know he's safe, you know, down to the ground.
We had him, even if the crane fell at this point, there wouldn't be any loss of life.
It was a good view, you know, looking, seeing all the people on the ground and everybody, you know, rejoicing. You know, you're not thinking about what you're hanging on, but you just thank God you're going to safety.
The ride of this man's life.
Hang on, man. Hang on.
Hang on, buddy.
What a stunning sight.
About to get touchdown.
Nicely done.
And all
Perfect.
the ambulance
down.
pick up.
He's safe. What a dramatic rescue.
When I got on the ground, if I'd had time, I would have kissed the ground, because I felt good. They grabbed me up and threw me on the stretcher and hauled me off to the hospital.
Ivers was kept in overnight for observation and later reunited with his wife.
I walked in the door with a big smile on my face.
I think she cracked a joke when she came in the door. Everybody was in the joking mood that day except me.
But I was glad to see him.
Exploring caves may not be everybody's idea of fun. It's certainly not mine. But for children in particular, they're an exciting and adventurous place to play, despite their obvious dangers. Under the streets of Nottingham, there are hundreds of caves, more than any other city in Europe. They've been used for all sorts of purposes. Many were air raid shelters during the war. Today, though, most of them lie empty. Potential death traps where a simple game of hide and seek can end in tragedy.
The caves are often used by down and outs and as an unofficial rubbish tip. But that didn't stop 10-year-old Philip Starbuck and his cousins Liam and Nicola from exploring. Two school friends, Craig Attenborough and Craig Beeson, also went along.
Here's one for you, yeah. Okay, he's got a lighter.
They had no torches, so they used firelighters, but these crumbled and were difficult to hold.
Come on then, let's go down there.
Okay, spaced out now. I'll go next.
Stay bear behind there.
The children went deeper into the caves, but one of the firelighters was still smouldering. By now, the children were 100 yards inside the caves, and they had no idea that a fire had started in the entrance.
We was playing hide and seek. It was better than just playing it like on the street, because you could hide in a corner and put your firelighter out and they'd never catch you. Someone says there was ladders at the bottom, so we went to find them.
It's scary. There's loads of alleyways, corridors and stuff like that. Bricks, what you fall over.
Ah.
It stinks.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Massive.
Rusty ladder. You could see up, and then there's the grate. You could see light coming down from that.
Anyone up there?
After a while, they decided to head back to the entrance.
We was on our way back to come out, and then we walked around the corner and everyone started choking.
It's like a gap in the wall where you could see like over the top, and there's loads of light there, so it wasn't usually like that, usually dark. As you got closer, you could feel yourself getting hotter. Hurting your eyes. Big, very big. Loads of mattresses and chairs were on fire.
It's just horrible, really.
The fire was blocking the way out. The children were forced back into the caves. In the confusion and darkness, they became separated. While the two Craigs tried to find the ladders at the back of the caves, Nicola took Liam and Philip to what she thought was another exit.
When I got there, it was all blocked up with bricks. I thought if you moved the bricks, we could have got out, but it would have took too long.
It's hopeless. I'm going back to the fire. It's our only chance. Follow me, Nicola. Nicola!
No, I was too scared to go back to the fire in case it had gone bigger.
Everyone disappeared. I was on my own. I realised I was on my own. I got to the fire and I was scared and I didn't know what to do. I was thinking to myself, if I don't get out, no one else is going to get out, because no one knew that we was in here.
Nicola decided she had to risk running through the flames.
And then I got out and I was shouting my mum. She ran and phoned the ambulance and the fire engine.
Okay, we've got a rubbish fire in the caves, right? There's persons reported and there's 4 kids. Okay, so look.
The first thing to do was send breathing apparatus, whereas in to extinguish the fire and to start a search for the children who were missing. Once you commit people in breathing apparatus, you're actually setting off down a road that needs a lot of control to make sure those people come out safely at the end of it. So it was never going to be that easy.
It was pretty grim because the fire was going quite well. It was very heavily smoke-logged with all the toxic gases. Anybody exposed to smoke of that sort's probably only got a matter of minutes to live. So time was of the essence.
Craig Beeson and Craig Attenborough struggled through the smoke. They made it back to the ladders and began to climb to the surface.
There's a platform right at the top, and there's a ladder going to the tunnel. That's where we was.
What is it? It's a manhole. I think we're under the street. I can't move it. It's too heavy.
In another part of the cave, Philip and Liam were on their knees trying to find a way out.
Liam! Liam! Liam let go of me, and he just stopped quiet and like fainted or something like that. I was telling him not to mess about. It's not funny, and he won't wake up. Liam! And I thought he did because I was panicking.
Listen! Philip!
I grabbed him by his shirt, started pulling him a bit, and just woke up again.
Craig!
I couldn't see a thing. I had actually anticipated the cave system being only fairly short. Within the first room, I was expecting to find some bodies on the floor.
It became apparent that the complex was huge. We were going to have the most tremendous difficulty in bringing them back out. The more the time went on, the more likely it seemed that they were going to be dead when we brought them out.
Fine. Yeah. Right, okay,
we went up to the top, and we were basically instructed to go and try and find somewhere where the cave system would vent out. A few people sort of said to us, oh, you know, they thought sort of this manhole cover or that manhole cover, and we lifted them, which gave absolutely nothing.
That's clear. Okay, come here.
By now, Liam and Philip had also made it to the ladders.
I didn't think it was safe to go up because it was like rusty. I got on the second level, and then I got onto the fifth step, and it just broke. And I just stopped there for a bit, froze for a little bit because I didn't want to go any further. It was like 70 feet up.
Philip!
I thought the fire was getting closer, and I was scared, so I knew I had to do it, so I went up. He was coughing, and Liam was crying. I thought we were going to die.
More teams with breathing apparatus joined the search. By now, the first pair were deep inside the complex and running short of air.
You have only got a finite amount of air, so you're thinking, if I can get there quick enough, I might be able to save them. And that was what must have been driving Chris and myself along.
We took turns to go up the ladders to breathe out of the manhole and shout people and see if anybody would hear us.
Help! Help! Help!
Gaffer, first two BA blokes that went in, the 2 minutes past the time of whistle.
Firefighting team?
Yeah, first team.
The breathing apparatus team that had gone in for the initial firefighting had not returned, which means that they've almost certainly run out of air. It's absolutely the most horrendous feeling that you could ever imagine. There was the reality now that I was going to have 2 firefighters dead as well.
Right, in you go then. Take the left-hand leg.
Emergency breathing apparatus wearers were sent in to locate the team and rescue them. And when it comes down to that, you know something's going pretty wrong.
In the street above where the children were, a girl was on her way to buy sweets.
You could hear her walking across the manhole, but she didn't know where we were, and you had to shout at her.
Help! Help! Get someone!
There we go.
Quick! Help us, the manhole is
As we got towards the manhole cover, you could hear the children shouting and crying and screaming. And we lifted the manhole cover and they were all there, directly below us.
Just the relief when they came and opened the grate thing. You could breathe better as soon as it opened. You could breathe a lot better.
Come on, soon I'll get out. Grab my hand.
Literally another 2 or 3 minutes, and they certainly wouldn't have been coming out of the manhole. Definitely, they would have passed out. They'd been overcome by the fumes.
Grab my hand.
We're gonna be all right, weren't we? It was all right. The fire brigade came.
Moments later, the overdue team returned to the entrance. They should have run out of air minutes earlier, but somehow had managed to conserve their supply and get back with seconds to spare.
It was like a massive weight had been lifted off people, and that's certainly how I felt, and a sense of exhaustion as well.
Well done, lads. You're doing a cracking job. Well done.
When I saw them in the back of the ambulance, they were the blackest, both on the outside and internally, that I've ever seen anybody survive.
I can only presume that because of the volume of air in the cave complex, they were able to survive longer than we would have expected. And that just bought us that little bit of time to rescue them.
What would you do if you had to escape from your home if it was filled with smoke? How long do you think it would take you to get out of your own house if it was so dark you couldn't see a hand in front of your face?
This week's 999 demonstration's a bit different. We're taking our stuntman Marc Cass to the home of the Purnell family here in Bristol. They volunteered to let us film them trying to escape from their own home.
Hi. Hello. How are you?
The Purnells are Dad Brian, Mum Louise, their 4 sons, a dog and 2 chinchillas.
What's your name? Ben.
Ben. How you doing? I'm Mark. OK, you all ready for today?
Yeah.
You looking forward to it?
Yeah.
Good stuff.
We brought along a fire safety expert, and already he's spotted something he doesn't like, the smoke detector.
Oh, no.
Ah.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah.
It did eventually, but the only problem with that is whilst you've got the smoke alarm there, it's in completely the wrong place.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Now what we need to do is put another one somewhere more central in the room. Right, well,
no.
That one's in the wrong place.
It is as well.
Completely the wrong place, and it doesn't work. And that one doesn't work either.
I don't know why you don't go off.
And again, that one's in the wrong place. So of your 3 smoke detectors you've got,
they're in the wrong place.
All 3 in the wrong place, and only one works.
It's much too dangerous to fill the house with real smoke, so we're creating zero visibility by blocking out every trace of light coming in and doing the demonstration at night. We're going to time how long it takes for the family to escape from the upstairs bedrooms. Mark's here to make sure the house is totally dark and the family doesn't encounter any hazards on the way, so we've covered all the sharp edges with foam. We're using special night vision cameras so we can see the escape. Now we're ready. Mark's going first to check the blackout. Remember, although we can see clearly with the night vision cameras, Mark can't see anything.
Mark's finding his way out of the bedroom. He's found the door. He's out onto the landing.
Start making my way down the stairs. Feeling the banister. I'm going to try going out through the front door.
He's located the door. He's trying the handle.
Front door is locked. And there's no key.
He's not wasting too much time with that. He's looking for his other way out to the rear of the house. He's made his way through the door, now he's in the kitchen.
Looking out for the work service.
He's found the patio doors, he's looking for the handle. He's out from the patio into the conservatory. He's located the patio door, he's now out.
I couldn't believe how black it was. You know, it was normally like
amazing,
darkness, you can sort of pick out white edges, but it was so dark, I was kind of like walking like that, you know. I mean, it was disorientating all the way. I mean, you know, once you're on the top of the stairs, as you're going down, you know there's more stairs, so that's all right. But obviously, as you get down to the last step, you're thinking, is it the last step? The frightening thing about that is the front door. You know, there's no key in the front door.
That's right.
So you go downstairs thinking, oh, I'll get out the front door. I mean, I always take the front door key out.
That's right, it's not a problem taking the key out as long as people can find it easily, not put it up too high or whatever. So if they do need to get it in a hurry, it's somewhere very close at hand.
Yeah. Are you ready? It's your turn now.
Yeah, we're ready, aren't we?
Yeah, I think so. You're not going to be scared, are you?
No.
Okay, it's really dark. It is really, really dark, so you're going to get a shock how dark it
See
is.
your hand in front of your face.
Yeah, you'll be like that. Okay, so off you go.
They practiced in daylight and escaped from the house in less than 30 seconds. But they don't know we've taken the key out of the front door. How long will it take them to go right through the house in total darkness? In a real fire, how much time do you have?
With modern furnishings and everything, when they're involved in fire, the smoke that comes off is so toxic that literally a couple of lungfuls, and that may be as far as you get. Really, the answer is they want to get out as soon as possible. I mean, within a minute or two, they've got to be out of the house.
We let the family settle down to sleep before we set off the smoke alarm.
You ready? 3, 2, 1, alarm.
Mum's obviously checking what's going on.
Dad's up now.
Mum's going to get the children.
Jason.
You follow me. Obviously trying to calm them down.
Don't be frightened, all right?
Jason. One of them's gone for his chinchillas, look. You follow me. Can't afford to waste time. Get them some chillers. It's important they get out quickly. It's 50 seconds now. In a real fire situation, the house will really start filling with smoke.
It's the hallway now.
Obviously looking back, pretty concerned about the pets. Really struggling coming down the stairs now.
You just stay with me. Lou, where'd you put the key to?
It's in the door.
Yeah, it's not. Not in the
Yeah,
door.
it is.
It's not. We have to go through the back.
Right, keep them down. Chinchilla. Keep down, Josh. Keep down. Chinchilla. They'll get them back. Don't worry. We'll get the fire.
You really don't know where
Really
they
got to
are.
stick together to all get out safely.
It's a kitchen.
They must try and stick together, make sure they're all out safely.
Keep down. Keep down.
Got through the patio door, all right?
Now into the conservatory, they found the back door.
Okay.
And they're all out.
I could see nothing coming down the stairs.
Yeah.
Totally, I was feeling
Really
around.
weird fit.
Yeah, very strange feeling.
Yeah.
Very strange.
Did you feel very vulnerable?
Hide.
Lost.
Just in your own home, not knowing where you are and unsure of yourself. And can you imagine if you were choking as well in the smoke?
It's not nice.
I felt a bit scared, really. Couldn't see nothing. I went down to my mother's top. I got onto the floor and I thought I was still going downstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed you took quite a long time to get out of bed. What was the reason for that?
better for me to go out and see what it was, because in a normal reality you wouldn't get up.
I don't go out. Yeah.
I'm the one that would go and see
Yes.
what the problem is.
So in a real event, I mean, that vital seconds may be lost. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you any idea how long it took you to get out?
I don't. How long?
1 minute 45 seconds. How did it seem? Did it seem as long as that?
I don't know.
I don't actually know, because Louise was certainly fumbling around with the door handle for, it seemed for half a minute, but obviously it wasn't, but it seemed forever.
I can't find my own door handle.
Yeah, I think
So you can imagine in your own house, if I can't find my own door handle, I don't know how you done it.
Yeah, I think what I have to say is that in a fire situation, 1 minute 45 seconds is an awful long time. An awful lot can happen. From what would start off to be a very small fire can almost start to grow out of control within such a short space of time. And obviously with this scenario we've had here this evening, you've not had the thick, black, hot, choking smoke. You haven't had your eyes running. You haven't been gasping for breath. All these things would affect the way you'd react, disorientate you even more, make you panic. You didn't have the fear tonight. So to get out in under 2 minutes was very good, but you had a lot of things going for you. And in a real fire situation, you've got nothing going for you.
No.
Finally, many people have a phone by the bed. What if your first reaction is to make a 999 call in complete darkness? We tried that with Brian and Louise.
Phone ain't working.
Press the 9.
I can't see the buttons.
It's very easy to miss the 9 button in the dark. It took Brian almost a minute to complete the call, and in a real fire, that minute could cost you your life.
Yeah, I got a fire.
If you're thinking about making a 999 call from the house in your bedroom, the simple answer to that is don't. If you discover a fire in your house and the smoke alarm goes off, get out, stay out, and call out the brigade.
If you're ever in the position of having to dial 999 when you can't see anything, there's a simple tip which you could use.
Some phones have a small raised button on the 5 to enable blind people to dial more easily. Now, it could help you find the 9 and save a life. Bristol Royal Infirmary's Accident and Emergency Department handles around 150 patients a day. With such a demanding caseload, it's essential that doctors and nurses work together as an efficient team. In A&E, there's no room for the traditional role barrier between doctors and nurses. The nursing staff are the backbone of the department, especially as every 6 months the junior doctors all change, moving on to other departments as part of their medical training.
This week on A&E, nurse Trish Waitson has to deal with a nasty hand injury. And our young doctors leave A&E for the last time. After 6 months in A&E, it's time for the young doctors to move on to new jobs. Dan Titcombe is going to the cardiac unit, and Fiona Cookson will be working at the Children's Hospital.
I'm relieved that we've survived, really. And, yeah, I'll be sad to go, but I'm also relieved to have finished.
For nurse Rachel Hudson, it's also time to think of leaving, but for entirely different reasons.
Today I'm in court, so there we go.
What's that about then?
Last summer there was an incident in the department where I was assaulted. You know, I love A&E work, but at the moment I've gone through a very rough 6 months of actually being frightened.
In the early hours of Saturday morning, David Dawson came into A&E after being beaten up outside a Bristol pub. 2 days later, he's back again.
So it's the same problem, is it?
Yeah.
All right. Can I have date of birth, please?
While David waits to be seen, Paul Sainsbury has arrived with a nasty gash to his finger.
This is Paul, and he's just severed the end of his finger. Right, can you just ever so slowly? I'll try and lift that up with you.
Paul, who's a plumber, crushed his finger between a heavy metal boiler and a concrete floor.
The tip of your finger there. This is going to sting as it goes on. All right.
Hello, mate.
Are you going to be all right? It's not going to get any worse than that, okay? David Dawson. Hello. This is David. Hi, I'm doing one of the doctors here. Screw your eyes up tight. Open them again. Smile for me. Basically, I was testing his cranial nerves, which is what all the looking in his eyes and screwing his eyes up and opening his mouth. Because if there's a lesion in one of those, it's again a sign of an intracranial pathology, something going on inside his head. Pull me towards you. Push me away. Can you feel me touching you? All right. I think what we do is we do an X-ray of your skull and see what that comes back as and see. But I think, to be honest, it'll be fine, and you've just got concussion.
David was sent home and told to take things easy.
A little break underneath that cut and tip of your finger. Yes, it's not good news, I'm afraid.
Paul's injury has turned out to be worse than first expected.
It's a crack, basically, through the bone, all right? So we're going to have to treat that as well as the cut.
Right.
Because you've got a deep cut over a bone, you're going to need some pretty heavy-duty antibiotics to check you don't get an infection into the bone.
Paul will need an operation tonight, and to make matters worse, it's his girlfriend's birthday today.
Now not going out for her birthday.
No. Fiona, thanks very much for sparing a few moments to come and help me with this file.
Fiona is having her final appraisal with her head of department, consultant Andy Swain.
I think overall, all of us would say that we've really enjoyed the 6 months. But I have to say that I think the reason we've enjoyed it is because we're so good as a team within us, and because the nursing staff are so brilliant.
Hey mate, I'm off.
It's nearing the end of Fiona's last shift at A&E. Time to say some sad goodbyes.
I'd like to thank you for putting in extra effort. You really have been a terrific bunch, and I hope that all the associates appreciate that. Keep in touch, and if we can support you in any way in your future progress, let us know.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. I feel a lot more confident than I did when I started, because you instantly deal with all sorts of different people and a lot of aggressive people, particularly being an inner-city casualty department.
Nurse Rachel Hudson has returned after giving evidence in court this morning. She was attacked in the department earlier this year.
Horrible. And he's been found guilty of 2 counts of assault on me and the security guard. And you do feel like, is it my fault? You know, am I doing something wrong? And now it's proven that I'm just doing my job. I'm glad it's over. Very glad it's over.
Fiona is finishing her last A&E shift.
Quite sad, really. There's a lot of good people in there, really. Had a good fun 6 months. Above all, I mean, there's been bad times, but no, sad to leave.
It's 9 p.m. Dan has arrived for his very last A&E night shift. He'll have to work all night, and then at 8 a.m. he'll start a full day's work in his new job at the cardiothoracic unit.
What happened?
She squirted some perfume in her eye.
What sort of perfume was it? Weave Gauche? Chanel? No?
No, not as expensive as that.
Can I dab your eye with a little piece of paper? Do you mind? You do? Oh no! Well, go on, please. I'm just going to turn the light off again. Well done. That's good news. My grandmother did exactly the right thing. She washed it out. I mean, if people get any chemicals in their eyes at all, the most important thing that you do at any time is to wash it out.
Bye, say bye. Bye.
Not all cases in A&E are as straightforward as Sophie's. 92-year-old Alice Braund has been brought in after an unexplained collapse at home.
Alice, what happened this evening?
Well, I feel a bit better now, but it's just that I just found myself on the floor and don't know where I got and I couldn't get up. So, of course, I just crawled to the phone and dialed 999.
Yeah, what was on TV? What were you watching?
Coronation Street, I think.
Was it good? Excellent. How are you feeling now?
Very tired.
Me too. But then it is 3 o'clock in the morning. We will try and endeavour to work out why you ended up on the floor when you were happily sitting in your chair watching Coronation Street. Maybe it was just a very bad episode of Coronation Street. I thought it was a bit strange because it was about an hour and a half between the episode of Coronation Street that she watched and the ambulance being called. And she was out cold. She'd had an arrhythmia, and that's why she'd become unconscious. She's obviously a bit freaked out about the fact that she collapsed. She doesn't know why. She's nice, old lady.
Alice was admitted with an irregular heartbeat and was kept under observation on Ward 16.
How to impress.
It's 7:45 a.m.
Bye, Debbie.
Dan is heading upstairs to his new job. 8 brand new doctors have arrived at A&E for their introductory guided tour. Consultants Nigel Rawlinson and Aoife O'Sullivan will help the new doctors through the stresses and strains of the first weeks in a demanding new job.
I think this is the point where we say goodbye. Bye.
After centuries of mining history, Cornwall's last tin mine, South Crofty, shut forever last year. Jeff Sullivan worked in the mine for 28 years until an horrific accident put an end to his mining career forever. He and his closest friend and colleague, Eric Eckersall, tell how he survived.
The day of the accident, I mean, it was just a normal day. We went to work, I went to work and got changed and chatted with whoever I was chatting to and got all the equipment and went underground. You normally work as a pair. The work is hard. You know, 4 hands are a lot better than 2. But I never minded the hard work. It's a smashing job. It came to the end of the shift. We had to come out because the area that we were working was going to be blasted from elsewhere. I went back into the tunnel because I had to turn some more of the machinery off, and my partner had already gone up, and I winched up a sledge full of mining equipment. I got to the bottom of the ladder, and I started to climb, anticipating that everything was okay. And I got a little bit over halfway up, and I heard one almighty crash. So I tried to jump to one side, got the equipment on the winch, got me smack in the chest. It just straight me to the bottom. I don't remember any more at all until there was several lights coming back down the ladder.
He was obviously hurt. He was obviously in a bad way because he was quiet. And generally, if somebody's making a lot of noise, you find that they're not desperately badly hurt. But Jeff was obviously very poorly.
He's the only one I can remember speaking to. I was very concerned that Eric was actually going to tell my wife, because I always promised my wife that everything would be okay. And I just asked Eric, kept asking him, go on, we tell my wife. In my ribs, I thought I caved them all in. They were in awful pain to touch. There was no blood, so I thought all the damage was inside. And I'm not small, so I thought I may be okay here.
We tried to get him on a stretcher, which was a nightmare, really.
It was like a coffin lid, nothing else but a coffin lid, and you just strap it into it with big leather straps. I knew the way we had to come out, it wasn't going to be easy, and I knew this was going to be 3/4 of an hour. It's going to be easy before they get me out of here.
It was a momentous task. He must weigh 16 stone, and he had to be pulled vertically 90 feet.
They were stopping and they were starting, and they were discussing the best way or the worst way or the safest way for them and for me.
The rest of the journey, people had to take turns to carry him.
I was in there to consciousness.
We kept trying to talk to him because we didn't want him to lose consciousness altogether, because then he couldn't tell you how much pain he was in.
I knew when we was coming up the decline, the next step was them getting me into the cage. I thought, oh my gosh. To be quite honest, now I can't remember it. From there I can't remember a thing until I got to the ambulance. Thank God I can't remember that at all.
I didn't expect to see him again.
I knew before I came out of hospital that I wasn't going to go back to mining again. My rib cage got damaged quite bad. I just got to be careful how I lift anything heavy. I don't carry the wife around the bedroom anymore. If a good job in the mine came up now and I was 26 and with my condition and my body's in, I couldn't take it. They gave me 30 years of pride. I'm glad of it, really.